It is really a pleasure to introduce Chairman Tenenbaum. I know everybody in this room already knows her and the incredible work of her staff and the chairman and the commissioners and their staff. And this morning, we've heard a lot about what they're doing more recently. I just thought I'd take a couple of seconds to highlight just a few things about her administration and how she has really elevated the agency in the past few years that she has been there. You know, we heard this morning a few of these things, but the increase in accessibility and transparency at the agency is really noteworthy. Those of us in industries that are regulated by any agency or department in Washington can only ask for things like information and an opportunity to know what's going on there, and we certainly have that much more than ever before under the chairman's guidance, so we really appreciate that. This morning in Ken's remarks, he mentioned the increase in education and advocacy at the agency. That's also something very noteworthy under the chairman's guidance. And finally, something very important to all of us is just the chairman's support, the strong support for reasonable and effective new regulations and standards. And she's not only been that way here in the United States working with Congress and other departments and agencies, but she's done that around the world. If you look at her bio, there's a long list of countries, and Carol, I'm not going to sing them. You did a great job this morning. But she really has, going around meeting with regulators around the world, touring factories, and really taking her message of safety around the world to a global audience. So those are, I think, some of the highlights from our toy industry perspective. We've just had an incredible experience working with the chairman, a number of her staff that are here. And let me also take just a minute, because it also applies to Commissioner Adler and Jason and the entire staff of the other commissioners as well. So it's great to have you all here too. Just 2 weeks ago, the chairman and some of her staff came up to New York to our trade show Toy Fair. She participated in our safety seminar and then took a lot of time to walk around, meet with a lot of the members there, and also look at some of the new products that'll be hitting the market in the months ahead. So it's that kind of interaction with the chairman and her staff in the agency that has really meant a lot to the toy industry over the years. So with that, this is really not an introduction. It's more of a welcome back, because you spoke to us in Brussels at the last ICPHSO meeting. So please help me in giving a warm welcome back to Chairman Tenenbaum.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ed, thank you so much for those very kind words and that really gracious introduction. I really appreciate it. And to my colleague, Commissioner Adler, I'm so glad you're here with us. Commissioner Nord has been here throughout the meetings. I don't know if she's here today. I haven't seen her, but she's been here at the conference. So to the ICPHSO Board of Directors and to the members, to the CPSC staff and alumni, and to the special guests from around the world, I am so pleased to join you in celebrating the 20th anniversary of this distinguished organization. So much has changed since I first joined the ICPHSO community in Toronto in October 2009. To attend that conference, I had to fly overnight over the Pacific Ocean from a safety summit with the AQSIQ in Beijing. I was a little bleary-eyed that morning, but determined. I was determined to tell everyone about the CPSC's new direction and determined to show everyone that I can say ICPHSO. I'll never forget Mark Schoen standing in my office saying, "It's ICPHSO." So fast forward almost 4 years, and today marks my 8th ICPHSO conference. Thankfully, it was just a short drive from right over the Potomac River from Bethesda to Crystal City. In the past 4 years, things have changed for the better. Today, CPSC stands in the rightful place as the global leader in consumer product safety. Today, consumer protection has advanced so that parents can have faith in the institutions of government. Today, industries and markets have evolved and kept pace with changes in product safety rules, and consumers are better off for it. To compare and contrast the past to the present, out are the days of lead-laced toys sneaking into children's toy boxes before authorities could put up roadblocks. What's in is CPSC's implementing and enforcing some of the lowest lead limits in children's products from around the world. Down are recalls of toys due to lead violations, down 80% since 2008. And up are the numbers of violative toys caught at import before they can make it to the store shelves. Out are traditional drop-side cribs, which entrapped and took the lives of beautiful little children. In is CPSC implementing and enforcing a crib standard that is the model for the rest of the world. The memories of Bobby and Liam and Tyler and so many other children live on through the safer, stronger cribs in the stores today. Out are companies thinking that regulators will turn a blind eye to corruption of materials along the supply chain. Children sometimes pay the ultimate price in the race to offer the lowest unit price. What is in, I'm proud to say, is independent testing of children's products at CPSC accredited laboratories. Children's toys, games, and apparel are coming off assembly lines in Guangzhou, Hong Kong, and Mexico City. But before they are shipped to our homeland, they are being third-party tested for conformity with U.S. standards. What is in are companies building safety into their design and anticipating foreseeable use and foreseeable misuse of their products. What is in are Chinese manufacturers using best practices in their factories, and the Chinese government holding manufacturers accountable when they do not play by the rules. These are the components of a global market system of safety, a system of safety that parents and consumers thought was in place years ago. They spoke out to their elected officials when they realized that it wasn't in place. And now their expectations for safe products are being met, and they can shop with more confidence. Many of you in this room are the key players in making this system of safety work. You set a corporate culture of quality and safety in design specifications. You travel halfway around the world to do QA and QC checks of the factories of your suppliers. You run the testing laboratories that adhere to ILACS and ISO 17025 standards for quality. You protect against undue influence and ensure staff is trained to carry out the CPSC's latest testing protocols. You are the innovators. You are the voices that deserve to be heard in your companies. I've seen the next generation of innovators and innovations, and the future of safety looks promising. I know that a coin cell battery can be built one day so that it will not cause severe burns to a child's throat if ingested. I know that affordable cordless window coverings can be made and that existing window coverings can be retrofitted to eliminate the strangulation hazard. I know that ATVs and ROVs can be made more stable and less prone to rollovers. We can do this. We can make our culture of safety the best in the world. Advancements in manufacturing are vital to the United States being a leader in product safety, as is information sharing. I believe that these past 4 years have seen great improvements in communication between consumers and all of us, the experts in safety. A guiding belief that I have promoted during my tenure as chairman is that effective communication and education can be empowering and life-saving. We have used that approach at the CPSC. We have doubled the number of members of the Neighborhood Safety Network during my tenure to 7,500. We have launched a minority outreach campaign for underserved communities. We have put information about safe sleep and drowning prevention and poison prevention in the hands of people who have never before heard of the CPSC. Consumers can search and report on product instances via the trusted website saferproducts.gov. And they are. There are more than 200,000 visits to the site each month, and more than 12,000 reports of harm or potential harm are live on the site. And those who want recall information can download an app for their smartphone, a widget for their website, and tweets from On Safety. But we're not alone in the information sharing empowerment business. Consumers Union launched the National School Safety Program to put vital information into the hands of the PTA, school systems, and educators. CU is disseminating information from CPSC, the FDA, and others up to towards 90 million people. the Department of Health and Human Services launched Text for Baby, which provides free text messages to tens of thousands of women during and after their pregnancy. Many of us in this room are supporting members of Text for Baby. And the Consumers Federations of America and Kids in Danger joined forces to create an online registry of juvenile product manufacturers who provide product registration cards as the law allows and requires. The result of all these efforts is a more informed and a more empowered consumer class. And a more informed and more empowered consumer class means safer homes and safer families. Many of you are key players in companies and organizations that are contributing to the empowerment of consumers. You blog on safety issues, include safety alerts in newsletters, incentivize consumers to respond to recalls, and support foundations working to help the needy. I applaud you for your efforts. Yet there is still more that we can do. An empowered consumer class should include consumers from every economic and social strata. We have to work harder to communicate to those who have not trusted government as the source of information. And we have to recognize that certain people hear about a product incident but take no remedial action because they believe this won't happen in my family. CPSC's door is always open to hearing from those who have proven methods of new ideas on how to change consumer behavior and advance the cause of safety. Our cause and our commitment is not confined to the United States only. Information sharing and capacity building with our regulatory partners in other jurisdictions has benefited consumers here and at home and abroad. The CPSC has forged new partnerships with regulators in the Pacific region, Latin America, and South America. And long-standing agreements with regulators in North America, Europe, and China have been modernized and strengthened through collaborative safety summits. That regulators and safety advocates for more than 30 countries are here today, 30 countries, and it speaks to the power of ICPHSO as a unifying source for the product safety community. I believe that cooperation is the key. No one organization, no one country can solve all the challenges posed by the global economy. I believe that we must move forward together, government and industry, advocates and associations. But we must work together to expand our path to the future, and to do that we have to be mindful of our history. History at times can guide us, and history at times is best not repeated. I believe that history will define these past 4 years as a time when the CPSC moved out of the darkness and into the light, from being a reactionary agency to being proactive, from protecting the status quo to redefining consumer protection. My approach of the last 4 years and the approach that will guide the CPSC going forward is based on what I call the next generation philosophy. To CPSC, the next generation philosophy means that we will never be satisfied with the status quo, and we will always push to improve the state of consumer safety for the generation to come. This philosophy is rooted in a system of safety built to protect today's children and tomorrow's children and the next generation, and to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. The system is driving the CPSC's work in the direction of injury prevention. The system has established protections of acute and chronic hazards, and the system reaches from the source of manufacture to import to the marketplace. And it is a system that is built to last. Today's children deserve a product safety system built to reduce their vulnerabilities, not expose them to it. The great poet Maya Angelou once said, "Children's talent to endure stems from their ignorance of alternatives." It is our responsibility to establish the advances in product safety so that a child's talent can endure without harm. Our children deserve a safe and a healthy upbringing and fewer unintentional injuries than the generation before. Now, I'm not talking about an environment free of risk. Life is risky, and we are made stronger by our ability to persevere. But I reject the notion, as some espouse, that my generation survived just fine riding in cars without child seats, riding bicycles without helmets, and playing on metal playground equipment without safe surfacing. Even with all of the progress we have made, we still have so much work to be done. Unintentional injuries are still the leading cause of death for children over the age of 1. And unintentional injuries are one of the leading causes of injury among children younger than 15, according to a Princeton University researcher. Yet there are fringe thinkers who want to roll back our progress in injury prevention and recklessly expose children to preventable risk. We have come so far, and we've come too far, and safety is advancing too fast for us to turn back now. My belief in the next generation philosophy stems from my past work in education, and it has continued during my tenure at the CPSC. From preparing young children to be proficient in basic math, to teaching young athletes how to protect their brains on the playing field. From preparing teenagers to be first in their family to go to college, to making sure that a ride on an ATV or a skateboard does not end their dreams to walk across a college campus. My life's work has always been about achieving healthy upbringings and bright futures for our children. And the system of safety that the CPSC has established is all about healthy upbringings and bright futures. Here are the pillars of our system. Through a combination of federal rules and strong consensus standards, we are doing our part to block children's exposure to lead, cadmium, chromium, arsenic, and other toxic metals. And these metals that can severely limit the development of children. Our system to prevent children's exposure to toxins is more comprehensive than the system of the past. It has addressed surface coatings and content. It has brought together the power of congressional mandates and the scientific research by the CPSC. Our system has other protections. Certain phthalates, a chemical of concern to many parents, have been banned in accessible parts of toys and child care articles. Durable infant products, products that our children sleep in, ride in, are fed in, and are carried in, never have been safer. Cribs and bath seats, baby walkers, toddler beds, and portable bed rails are all covered by strong mandatory standards. This is all thanks in key part to the CPSIA, the part called Danny's Law. Now, I have kept a picture of Danny Kezar in my office for years. What a sweet young boy. At the age of 16 months, he died in a play yard that had been previously recalled. Danny was taken far too soon from his mom, Linda, and his dad, Boaz, far too soon. Linda and Boaz became the founders of Kids in Danger, and they worked tirelessly to turn Danny's tragedy into Danny's Law. The time I've spent with Linda and Boaz has been among the most meaningful moments as my tenure as chairman. This is why I'm so proud to announce that a new federal standard for play yards goes into effect today. I look out at Nancy Coles from Kids in Danger, who is sitting here today. She, too, has dedicated years of her life to the memory of Danny and the pursuit of child safety. Nancy, it took 15 years, 15 long years, but we did it. Again, all of the hard work we do at the CPSC is about healthy upbringings and bright futures, and thus we press forward. Because we have safety rules that need to be established for bassinets and cradles, bedside sleepers, handheld infant carriers, strollers, slings, and so many other juvenile products. And we are pressing forward with establishing protections for consumers of all ages. Strong compliance action and ongoing rulemaking have tamped down the terrible burn hazard posed by pourable gel fuel in gel pots. Open rulemaking and ongoing work with the underwriters' laboratories is aimed at reducing the life-altering finger and hand amputations that happens every day to woodworkers using table saws. And in support of our aging population, the CPSC is working with the FDA to warn older consumers, their families, and healthcare providers about the entrapment hazard posed by adult bed rails. This is what our system of safety is all about. Strong performance standards, better manufacturing, independent testing, enforcement, education, and accountability. The results of this system are lives saved and injuries prevented in healthy families. When I first arrived at the CPSC, some people questioned why I pushed so hard to complete the CPSIA rulemaking. I did not make the staff work at such an exhaustive pace to complete the record number of rulemakings simply because Congress told us to do so. We did it because Congress had handed us a roadmap to becoming a truly proactive agency. Ask a parent what kind of safety systems they want. Ask a grandparent what they want for their grandchildren. Ask a consumer what they want from the marketplace. And the answer you consistently hear is that they want a system that works for them, to represent their interest, to hold manufacturers and retailers accountable if their products put the safety of families at jeopardy, and to have their confidence in government restored. And this is what we have done. And I want the ICPHSO community to join the CPSC in making our system even better. When I was a little girl growing up in rural Georgia, on Friday afternoons when school let out, I frequently went home with a friend to spend the night. The next day, when my mother came to take me home, my friend and I would be having such a great time that we'd ask if I could stay over another night. Most of the time, my mother would not let me, and she'd say, "You should not outstay or overstay your welcome." I still believe that one should not overstay one's welcome in any venue, whether it's professionally or personally. So I wanted to announce to all of you today that I've asked President Obama not to renominate me when my term is over in October. I plan to stay on at the Commission, however, until my successor is nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate, so I can be sure that the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is in safe hands. I've been assured by the White House and that my successor will be someone who believes in and fully supports the mission of our great agency, that is, to protect consumers. So many qualified and deserving people have wanted to serve in President Obama's administration, and he chose me. For the rest of my life, I will be grateful to President Obama for nominating me chairman of the CPSC and for giving me the opportunity to serve in his administration. It has been my great privilege to serve as chairman of the CPSC, and the best part of my experience has been working with the many talented, dedicated people at the agency. My term as chairman also has been greatly enhanced by working with all of you, consumer advocates and corporations, trade associations, and members of ICPHSO. So I say with a very grateful heart, thank you. But in the remaining time that I have at the CPSC, we still have a lot of work to do. So during the rest of my time today, I'd like to talk about with you the future agenda of the CPSC, an agenda that will strengthen our layers of consumer product safety. Leading off is our import surveillance program. As the President has stated on many occasions, manufacturing is making a comeback in the United States. That comeback should not be slowed by foreign manufacturers and domestic importers who seek a competitive advantage by sacrificing safety. Any company, domestic or foreign, is seeking to do business in our marketplace should adhere to the same performance standards. I believe that American manufacturers deserve a level playing field. Exporters who do not achieve safety at the source are on notice that they face a CPSC that is standing on guard in the front lines. Well-trained port and field investigators are using state-of-the-art technology to detect and detain violative products from toys to fireworks to lighters to mattresses. As was discussed throughout the morning, our port investigators are standing arm in arm with inspectors from Customs and Border Protection, CBP. CBP is one of the very best agencies in our government, and we are proud to be co-located with them at the Commercial Targeting and Analysis Center in Washington and at ports from coast to coast. The CPSC and the CBP staff prevented more than 4 million units of violative and hazardous imports from ending up on store shelves during the last fiscal year. I will not restate the well-presented points made this morning about our risk assessment methodology, which we call our RAM pilot project. But I want to emphasize one key point. My administration has made it one of our top priorities to increase the funding of the RAM program. More staff will mean a stronger RAM, and a stronger RAM will help the CPSC be an even more proactive regulator. As great a job as our imports investigators do, CPSC should not be limited to just 20 people working at a handful of ports. We cannot fight a fair fight with just 20 people to screen $700 billion worth of consumer product imports, $340 billion which are coming from China. The more hands we have on incoming shipments and the more hands we have on potentially violative samples, the safer American consumers will be, and the more level the playing field will be for our compliant trade. I will be seeking more funding support for our RAM program, and I need your support. Facilitating the flow of legitimate trade is one of the benefits of the RAM. Moving compliant products through the systems faster is good for industry, and it helps our investigators focus on high-risk products and repeat offenders. This is a winning approach to ensure a level playing field for trade, and I hope many of you will express your support. I would like to discuss now a series of products that have the potential to save hundreds of lives, prevent thousands of injuries, and advance consumer product safety. I'm referring to, 1, the creation of an upholstered furniture flammability standard that promotes the use of barrier technology that does not require the use of flame-retardant chemicals and that can severely slow down or prevent deadly fires. The next is an invisible killer, carbon monoxide. Exciting research has recently been completed by the CPSC staff, the University of Alabama, the National Institute for Standards and Technology on Gas Generators engine that emits lower levels of CO and increases escape time. I want to see this research turned into real-world innovation that gets incorporated into generators for consumers. The potential to save lives is there, and now we need the know-how and the will of the industry to make it happen. Another project is window coverings. I will continue to speak out and encourage families with young children to go cordless with the blinds and the shades in their homes. When it comes to child safety, going cordless is the position of the Commission, it is the position of consumer advocates, and it is the position of the Industry's Education Council. So consumers should know that they can walk into a major box retailer and specialty store today and find cordless options and blinds and shades with inaccessible cords. And I believe that the innovators, many of whom I've met last year, will chart the future of this industry. 2 other products on which we are focusing are ATVs and ROVs. Staff is working on separate rulemaking projects, but both of these off-road vehicles are involved in far too many incidents each year that result in death and life-altering injuries. We will continue to work to make these products safer and educate riders and families about the risks that they pose. Safer play in youth sports and reducing brain injuries is also high on my list. I initiated a great program last year with the NFL and others in the football safety community to accelerate the much-needed change in the safety culture in this sport. It was inspiring to be with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and football players in Akron, Ohio during the Hall of Fame weekend to celebrate the kickoff of this program last year. The program provides helmet assistance to economically disadvantaged youth teams, but only if they agree to specific steps that support player brain safety. This has been a great example of the power of a public-private public-private collaboration, and I am so looking forward to the program's growth and expanding the reach of this program this year and in the years to come. Safer play is smarter play. It is also the future of youth sports, I believe. Lowering the child drowning rate and maintaining a zero death rate from the drain entrapments in pools will drive our Pool Safety 2013 education campaign. We will help affected companies to understand and comply with the continuous testing rule, which went into effect earlier this month. The periodic testing rule is intended to fulfill two promises: a promise that Congress made to parents and a promise that the CPSC made to children when, under my leadership, we adopted the third-party testing requirements. The need for the independent testing of children's products periodically during the manufacturing process to help ensure continued compliance is not only good manufacturing practices, it is absolutely a necessity for safety. And using the CPSC's enforcement powers wisely will continue to be a priority. Companies that report on time, are responsive to letters of advice, and agree to corrective action plans will be treated fairly. Companies that fail to report on time, decline to agree to the terms of a corrective action plan, or ignore repeatedly letters of advice will feel the effects of our enforcement team. Civil penalties, stop sales, administrative lawsuits, and health and safety warnings are authorities that the Commission takes seriously, and we use it judiciously. As many of you know, it is rare for CPSC not to reach an agreement with a company when a recall is negotiated. In a few pending matters where the staff filed administrative actions against a non-compliant manufacturer, the retailers were the ones who stepped up to provide a remedy to the consumers. So I want to express my appreciation for the proactive role that many retailers have played in recent months. Thank you. So as you can see, the CPSC has a robust agenda. It is an agenda aimed at making 2013 even more successful than 2012. I predict that the year 2013 will be another successful year, especially if everyone joins together to strengthen our product safety system. At the CPSC, we are up for the challenge. We are not slowing down. We are committed to employing our limited resources not just for short-term gains, but for the greater good of the next generation. I believe that each of you is up to the challenge too. I believe this because your corporations, your associations, organizations, and agencies already have missions that put the safety and the well-being of consumers first. Collectively, we can build a global product safety system that supports and empowers future generations to reach their potential. So in closing, I would like to commend ICPHSO for reaching the milestone of its 20th anniversary. It is quite fitting that after hosting events on 3 different continents across 3 decades, this conference has set a record for attendance. This is a testament to the thousands of hours that product safety consultants, attorneys, association leaders, consumer advocates, and the CPSC staff had volunteered because of their belief in the ICPHSO way. Now, many of the ICPHSO founders are here: Ross Kozer, Dave Schmelzer, Michael Brown, and Joan Berge. And the 24 founders were a wonderful mix of CPSC staff, industry representatives, and state officials. They eventually turned over the reins to today's leaders: Carol Pollock Nelson, Mark Schoen, Joan Matson, Joan Lawrence, Mark Dwar, and others. Although Ross is still the heart and the soul of this great organization. So ICPHSO has carved out a special role in creating constructive conversations among diverse sectors of the product safety community. These conferences bring to light new and emerging technologies. They provide training for new members and provide a forum for the leading practitioners of risk assessment and quality assurance. Many of the advancements in consumer safety that are now commonplace were first discussed at ICPHSO. So in recognition of 20 great years, excuse me, I'm looking for this. Let us raise our glasses and give a toast to the next 20 years, to ICPHSO. Thank you once again. Thank you once again for the opportunity to speak at CPSC Day, and please attend all the guest sessions this afternoon, and I hope to spend more time with you throughout the day. Thank you very much.
Denise, real quick,
Thank you.
just say a couple of remarks. There is standing for you.